The ocean breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the salty scent of the waves crashing in the distance. Amidst the towering skyscrapers and relentless power struggles of the wealthy elite, there existed a quiet refuge on the outskirts of the city. A small, worn-down orphanage filled with the laughter of children. This was where Sienna Whitmore and Liam Prescott first met. She was a pediatrician, skilled in healing children's wounds but struggling to heal her own emptiness. Every day she faced worried parents and crying children, but at night, silence filled her apartment. He was a renowned chef known for crafting gourmet dishes, yet his heart felt lighter only when he was cooking for children who had no one else to care for them. Both sought solace in this place, unaware that fate had already intertwined their paths. That day, Sienna had just finished her hospital shift, carrying a box of homemade cookies. As she stepped into the familiar courtyard, she greeted the children and began handing out the treats. On the other side of the yard, Liam was carrying a tray of milk for the younger kids. Just as he set one cup down, an excited child ran past him, accidentally knocking his arm. Splash, a full glass of milk spilled down the front of his crisp white shirt. Liam froze, blinking at the sudden mess, while the guilty child giggled and darted away before he could react. At that moment, Sienna turned around just in time to witness the disaster. She chuckled. "Wow, white really suits you." Liam glanced down at his soaked shirt before narrowing his eyes at her. "Did you just laugh at me?" Sienna shrugged. "I just think the scene is quite entertaining." Liam sighed, peeling off his wet jacket, shooting her a look. "Well, thank you for your very insightful commentary." And just like that, their first meeting wasn't a grand love story. It was a spilled glass of milk and an oddly amusing showdown. After that milk disaster, Sienna and Liam kept running into each other at the orphanage. At first, they simply did their own work. Sienna took care of the children's health, while Liam prepared warm meals for them. But slowly, they started paying more attention to each other. One morning, Sienna arrived earlier than usual. As she stepped into the kitchen, she found Liam struggling with a bowl of pancake batter, his brows furrowed in deep concentration. "You're staring at that batter like it's about to attack you." She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Liam shot her a glance. "Do you know how to cook? If not, quit mocking me." Sienna chuckled, stepping closer and taking the wooden spoon from his hand. "You have to stir in circles, not beat it like you're fighting someone." Liam crossed his arms, watching her with a smirk. "Oh, so the doctor knows how to cook too." Sienna didn't respond, merely poured the batter into the pan and flipped the pancake perfectly. Liam raised a brow. "Not bad." And just like that, they slowly became accustomed to each other's presence. Another day, Sienna was playing with the children when Liam quietly placed a strawberry tart on her table. When she turned back and saw it, Liam simply shrugged. "I made too many. Eat it or don't." Sienna took a bite, eyes widening in surprise. "This is better than I expected." Liam smirked. "Who do you think I am?" Though their banter continued, they both knew something had shifted. That shift became undeniable on Christmas Eve. The orphanage held a small celebration, the Christmas tree adorned with golden fairy lights. Sienna stood on a chair, trying to place a star at the top, but she couldn't quite reach. Suddenly, a steady hand grasped her waist. "Let me," Liam's deep voice murmured. Sienna stiffened but didn't protest. With his help, she finally placed the star at the top. When she stepped down, they found themselves standing too close, their breaths mingling in the chilly air. A quiet moment stretched between them. Liam looked at her, his gaze softer than ever. Sienna, too, couldn't look away. She chuckled softly. "First time I've seen you not mocking me." Liam smirked. "Don't worry, tomorrow I'll mock you twice as much." They both laughed, but deep inside they knew something between them had changed forever. After that Christmas night, everything between Sienna and Liam changed completely. They were no longer just two people who crossed paths at the orphanage. They had become an irreplaceable part of each other's lives. One spring afternoon, Liam waited for Sienna in the orphanage's backyard, holding a small box in his hand. When Sienna arrived, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Sienna, I've been thinking about this for a long time." Sienna tilted her head. "About what?" Liam opened the box, revealing a simple bracelet with a tiny star charm. "I know I'm not perfect," he chuckled softly, "but I want to try. I want to be with you." Sienna froze. Her heart pounded in her chest, a chaotic rhythm of surprise and something deeper, hope. She had always imagined a life dictated by her family's expectations, but standing here, with Liam's hopeful gaze fixed on her, she felt something shift. Was she ready for this? Could she risk it all? Her lips curled into a small smile as she exhaled. "Then you better be ready to deal with me." Liam grinned, fastening the bracelet onto her wrist. From that moment on, they were each other's. For months, they loved each other in peace. They cooked together, sat on the orphanage's porch watching sunsets, and shared quiet moments no one else knew about. Liam often prepared small dinner surprises for Sienna. Sienna always carried Band-Aids in her pocket because Liam constantly got small burns while cooking. "What kind of chef keeps getting injured?" she would scold him while gently wrapping his hand. Those days were blissful until disaster struck. One afternoon, a single photograph ruined everything. That day, Sienna and Liam took a group picture with the kids, a simple, innocent moment. But just days later, the photo was posted online. People started whispering, "Why is Whitmore's daughter so close to Prescott's son?" It didn't take long for both families to find out. The Whitmores were furious. Sienna's father slammed the picture onto the table, his voice dangerously low. "What the hell is this, Sienna?" Sienna stood her ground, forcing herself to stay calm. "Dad, I love him." "No, you don't. They are our enemies." Her mother sighed, her voice ice cold. "Do you have any idea what the Prescotts have done to us? You would betray your family for that man?" Sienna's fists clenched, her heart ached. "I'm not betraying anyone. I just want to be happy." But no one listened. The Prescotts were no different. Liam's mother placed the picture down on the table, her voice sharp as a knife. "Tell me this is a joke. You're in love with Whitmore's daughter?" Liam met her gaze, unwavering. "I love her," his mother scoffed. "Love? You think love is enough? Do you know how long we've fought against them?" "I don't care. I don't want to live the way you do." Liam's voice was firm. His father slammed his fist onto the table. "Then forget it. If you don't cut her off, you're no longer a part of this family." Liam's fists tightened. He had expected this. But knowing it didn't make it hurt any less. That night, Sienna and Liam met one last time. They held on to each other under the streetlights, neither wanting to let go. Liam whispered, "Run away with me." Sienna bit her lip, her eyes glistening with tears. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to run. But her family would never forgive her. Her body trembled, and slowly, she shook her head. Liam stared at her for a long moment, searching for something, any sign that she would change her mind. But all he saw was hesitation, and it shattered him. A bitter chuckle escaped his lips. Then, "Goodbye, Sienna." He turned, his steps heavy, the cold air biting against his skin. But nothing hurt as much as leaving her behind. Behind him, Sienna clutched her arms, struggling to breathe, her tears falling onto the frozen pavement as she whispered the words she didn't have the courage to say aloud. "Don't go." Their peaceful love had come to an end. 2 years passed, and Sienna and Liam never saw each other again. Sienna buried herself in work at the hospital, determined to become a better doctor. But not a day went by that she didn't think of Liam. Every time she walked past a pastry shop, she thought of the strawberry tarts he used to quietly leave on her table. Every time she saw children laughing in the hospital, she remembered those afternoons cooking with him at the orphanage. But no matter how much she missed him, she never dared to look for him. Liam was different. He left his family's restaurant, choosing instead to open a small bakery, living a simpler life. But no matter what he did, his heart remained empty. He once believed time would help him forget Sienna, but reality proved otherwise. Without her, every day felt meaningless. And then, on one fateful night, they met again. The bar was dimly lit, filled with the murmur of voices and the hum of music. Sienna rarely went to places like this, but tonight, she just wanted to escape. She sat at the bar, ordering a strong drink, but just as she lifted the glass to her lips, she felt a familiar gaze on her. She turned, and her heart stopped. Liam. He sat at the far end of the bar, a drink in his hand, his deep brown eyes locked onto hers, as if he, too, couldn't believe what he was seeing. Sienna stood, slowly walking toward him. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. 2 years, so many things left unsaid, yet now, only silence remained. It was Liam who finally broke it. "Have you been doing well?" His voice was hoarse, as if he had held that question in for too long. Sienna let out a soft laugh, but her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "Well, without you, I haven't been well at all." Her answer hit Liam like a punch to the chest. He reached out instinctively, but then hesitated, stopping midway. "Me too, Sienna?" His voice barely a whisper. "It's been 2 years, but every time I see someone smile, I think of you." Sienna couldn't hold back any longer. She threw her arms around him, her tears finally falling. "I missed you, Liam." Liam pulled her into his embrace, holding her tightly, feeling the warmth he had longed for all this time. That night, they drank, not to forget, but to remember. They talked about the days they had spent apart, about the countless times they had unconsciously searched for each other in a crowd. And when the night grew late, Sienna was too drunk to go home alone. Liam held her close, whispering softly, "Let me take you home." And just like that, fate had brought them back together once more. Liam helped Sienna out of the bar, her steps unsteady, her body leaning heavily against his. The late night air was chilly, but all she could feel was the warmth of the man beside her. "Where do you live?" Liam asked softly, but Sienna only mumbled incoherently, her head resting against his shoulder. He sighed, holding her closer, before making the decision to take her to his place. By the time they arrived at his apartment, Sienna was still lost in a drunken haze. Liam carefully lowered her onto the couch, but just as he was about to step away, she suddenly clung onto his arm. "Don't go." Her voice was barely above a whisper, fragile and pleading. Liam froze, looking down at the girl before him. Her cheeks were flushed from the alcohol, her eyes shut tight, but her fingers curled around his arm, refusing to let go. "Sienna?" "I don't want to go home. I don't want to be away from you anymore," she murmured, tightening her grip. Liam felt something ache deep inside his chest. Even in her drunken state, she was speaking the words she had been too afraid to say. Silently, he sat down beside her, letting her lean against him. And just like that, she held onto his arm and slept through the night. When the morning sun crept through the windows, Sienna stirred slightly. She blinked, feeling the warmth beside her, and slowly lifted her head. Liam was still there, his arm still in her embrace. He had been awake for some time but hadn't moved, not wanting to disturb her. Sienna stared for a moment, before realizing she was still holding on to him. She quickly let go, her face turning bright red. I drank too much," she stammered, unsure of what to say. Liam watched her for a moment, then chuckled. "Do you remember what you said last night?" Sienna hesitated, but flashes of memory surfaced. The soft confession she had made. "I don't want to be away from you anymore." She lifted her gaze to meet his, this time without hesitation. "I meant every word." Liam stared at her, his breath hitching for a moment. Then, exhaling deeply, he reached out, taking her hand in his. "Then let's leave. No family, no past. Just you and me." Sienna didn't need to think twice. She nodded. And so, they decided to leave everything behind for love. Sienna and Liam left the city the very next day. No goodbyes, no hesitation. They took only a few belongings, a small amount of savings, and the unwavering belief that as long as they had each other, they could start over. They traveled far, settling in a quiet seaside town, a place where no one knew who they were, and no one cared about their past. After days of searching, they found a small house with a balcony overlooking the ocean. It wasn't grand, it wasn't luxurious, but it was warm and peaceful. A place they could call home. With their remaining savings, they opened a little book cafe, naming it Seaside Stories. Liam took charge of the kitchen, baking pastries and brewing rich, aromatic coffee. Sienna managed the book section, carefully arranging novels for customers seeking a moment of peace. Slowly, the townspeople grew fond of their cafe. It became more than just a place for coffee. It became a place where people could unwind, find comfort in a book, or simply enjoy the company of two people who had found their own version of happiness. One late afternoon, Liam stood in the kitchen, glancing out the window as he baked. Sienna sat outside on the porch, bathed in the golden hues of sunset, her eyes gleaming as she read an old novel. Liam smiled softly. Once, he had believed he needed a grand career, success, and recognition to be fulfilled. But now, he knew that simply waking up to Sienna's presence every day, living this simple life with her, was the greatest happiness he could ever ask for. At that moment, Sienna placed her book down and looked up, catching his gaze. She smiled, reaching out her hand. Liam stepped forward, taking her hand in his. Between the sound of crashing waves and the warmth of the setting sun, they knew they had finally found where they truly belonged, together. One day, Liam's mother unexpectedly appeared outside the cafe. She didn't enter right away. She just stood at a distance, watching her son. She saw Liam behind the counter baking with a quiet smile, his eyes occasionally drifting to the window where Sienna was arranging books. For the first time in years, she saw her son truly happy. Silently, she lifted her phone, took a picture of the scene, and sent it to Sienna's family. Along with it, a simple message: let them be happy. A few weeks later, on a peaceful morning, both of their parents unexpectedly arrived at the cafe. Liam and Sienna froze in shock. They had believed their families would never forgive them, but now they stood there, not angry, just watching. Sienna's father spoke first, his voice softer than before. "Are you two truly happy?" Liam tightened his grip on Sienna's hand, his voice unwavering. "Happier than ever." Liam's mother exhaled slowly before giving a small, rare smile. "Then, it's time we let go of the past." Months later, a small but heartfelt wedding was held at the cafe. No grand ballroom, no extravagant decorations, just family, newfound friends, and the children from the orphanage who had always been part of their journey. As Liam placed the ring on her finger, he whispered, "At last, we have our happy ending." Sienna smiled, tears of joy shimmering in her eyes. "And nothing will ever separate us again." Beneath the golden sunlight, amidst laughter and love, their love had triumphed over everything.